you talk us through your decision-making process that led you to choose Bike Rent Manager?
We've been doing rental for a long time. I mean, when we first started, probably like 2010, 2011, we had a small fleet of about sort of 30 bikes or so. Bike rental wasn't as popular back then. So I said we could just manage it quite easily. Usually we just use a spreadsheet. So we just had like the list of bikes listed on there, manually entered in what we needed. If the two people wanted the bike, just write it down, their names, the bikes they wanted. It was pretty easy to keep track of. Problems were like, if there's someone just making a small mistake, so I forgot to enter a particular date in, or like forgot to enter the details in there. You had a few small like problems, sort of those sort of things. We found it quite hard to keep track of like repairs needed on the bikes as well. There's only so much you can actually enter into a spreadsheet before it gets far too hard to sort of to manage properly. The main issue we had was probably human error. As sort of time progressed, our fleet started getting bigger and bigger, and we realized we needed something to sort of manage sort of that increase in like demand for rental on a much like bigger scale. So that's when we started looking for like different applications that we could use to sort of help us manage that. So then BRM came up. So we had a chat with Doug. He showed us how the software all works and stuff like that, and then gave us like a trial period to test it out. Initially, it was quite complicated because this was like the first iteration of BRM.
Yeah, back in 2018.
Yeah. So initially it was like quite complicated to get everything we needed on there and then get it working how we wanted. But with like some video chats with Doug and whatnot, we then managed to get it working out. And to be honest, it was just like an eye-opener. So it managed everything we needed a lot easier. And also because everything was being tracked pretty much real time to a degree, like human errors and stuff like that just almost disappeared. So I mean, you still had the odd occasional discrepancy, but like it was a lot easier to manage. I mean, and then by that point, our fleet had gone from like 30, 40 bikes to about 100 or so. So at that point, it made it a lot easier for us to work on, which is why we then stuck with BRM.
Were there any specific features that right away you thought, well, these were I was missing?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely having something like we could keep track of like customer information and also dates and stuff like that as well. So it was just a case of you just plugged in the dates you wanted to book a bike for, and the system just showed us instantly what bikes are available. That was very handy. Also being able to track like the condition of bikes as well. So having like a timer, or I say a timer, like a part of the system could actually track how many times the bike had been out. So at that point, you could then say, well, this bike's been out like 3 or 4 times. It really needs a full service now. We could also keep track of repairs, and also if anything came back broken, it immediately told us that that bike is not bookable because it's broken. Right. So obviously we could then keep track of those sort of things without having to sort of manually have to keep checking every day to see what we needed to do. But yeah, it was quite a good few features like that definitely helped us like smooth out the whole sort of like booking system. Well, for us at least anyway, our booking system and so on. A few other features were like, just having like a daily prompt of the bikes going out that day also helped. So rather than having to sit there and manually work out how many bikes you had going out on a daily basis, you could just click a button and it said, yeah, you've got these going out. And that's made it a lot easier for us as well.
Can you please describe your initial experience of onboarding with Bike Rent Manager?
So initially it was quite hard to sort of get used to. It was a new piece of software, obviously we'd never seen before. I mean, Doug was very helpful and like helping us like get through some of the more tougher things like the initial setup and stuff like that. I mean, this was when it was first implemented, so like 2018 sort of time. So even then BRM was still like in its infant phase. So we had, we was coming across issues that even Doug hadn't sort of come across himself at that point. So we was giving feedback on a regular basis, and some of that stuff actually got sort of implemented or was improved upon as we was coming across it. So I think at one point we had quite a diverse selection of bikes, so we needed a way of like describing each bike that we had on there. So I think they then added like a section where you could actually name each bike rather than just having road bike or mountain bike and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, there were a few like pitfalls and sort of slowdowns, like we had a situation where we had sort of so many bikes going out at one period of time, and there was a lot of overlapping that we was coming across issues where the system wouldn't allow you to like book a bike for coming in at one point of a day and then going out later on in that day. So it was sometimes you get overlaps like that, and that used to cause a few issues, but again, they fixed that sort of thing quite quickly and whatnot. So Yeah, as I said, it was good sort of it was good learning experience, and like I said, it's definitely improved compared to what it was back then.
What is the key benefit that you see from using Bike Rent Manager on a daily basis?
Definitely like a time management thing. So the fact that you can just come in the morning, you can open up BRM, you can just see what bikes are going out on any particular day. So, I mean, the way we work here is like, we'll check the bikes that are needed to go out like the day before or like the day before that. So for tomorrow, for example, we can just load up tomorrow's database, see what bikes are going out, and then we can literally just like prep them straight away, because literally it's just there as a list and we can just work on that. In the past, it was a case of having to like just look through every day and just seeing what bike was going out. So that's definitely one of the key features that what we like. It's just the fact it saves so much time just having to be able to look at that information, and the fact you can print it off. So you can just get a print off and then just go through and just tick off each bike that you need, and that's it, done. It saves a lot of time compared to what we used to be working with.
Can you now tell me of another feature that Bike Rent Manager has implemented and has become useful and essential to your day-to-day operations?
So probably the other thing would be like the maintenance side of things, like especially workshop related. So if we get a bike that comes back that needs a lot of significant work doing, the fact you can just press a button on BRM, so we'll go into the maintenance side of things, just type down the stuff you need that the mechanics need to be made aware of, or if worst case scenario, just mark that bike as broken. That's definitely made a lot of changes for us, because obviously the mechanics then pull that information up, see exactly what they need to do, what they need to work on. I mean, if the bike's broken, we can put a note on there saying if something needs replacing. So that's definitely made a lot of things a lot easier. So again, they can just literally click a couple of buttons and see what it is they need to do, rather than having to then find a member of staff to then ask them what the problem is, or like to then just accidentally come across the bike because someone's forgotten to make a note of it. So yeah, BRM has definitely improved like the workshop side of things. So the mechanics are now literally just get on with what they need to do. They know they've got bikes that are like needing work, broken, they can then get them fixed, and then they just mark it, done. We can then book the bike back out again. So the maintenance side has definitely helped us as well with that. So yeah, so another thing we've got going on later on in this month, at the end of May, also in June, July, there's a couple of events going on. So May, for example, there's the Ride 100, and that will actually see pretty much all of our bikes going out. That's around 150 or so, all in one day. So BRM allows us to keep track of like the customers booked, the bikes going out, the mechanics can keep tabs of the ones that they've got to check over still, the ones going out on particular days. And as I said, trying to manage that without the aid of software like BRM would be almost impossible. As I said, back in the day when we was using a spreadsheet, there'd just be like catastrophes everywhere, basically. We wouldn't have been able to do it. So BRM has definitely allowed us to sort of streamline that whole process and make everything work a lot better. So like I said, I can just come in on one day, load up the date for like the 26th when the event's on, and we can see exactly what bikes are going out, when, where, and who's for them and whatnot. So it just makes it so much easier. And then the fact you can print out that list to actually see what bikes need doing makes it so much easier for the mechanics to deal with as well. It's definitely been a good sort of like piece of software that we probably couldn't do without if we was to sort of like to suddenly stop using it at all. Everything would probably come crashing down for us if we was to stop using BRM.